Hi everyone, I'm going to discuss solving for three equations and three variable using the Cramer's rule. In the last discussion, you learn how to evaluate the determinant for a 3 by 3 matrix. So we'll be needing that knowledge for us to solve for the solution using the Cramer's rule, because using the Cramer's rule we are required to calculate for the determinant, and since we are dealing here with three equations and three unknowns, so we will be working on the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix. And the solution to the system defined by the three equations here, where A, B, C are the coefficients of the unknown variable x, y, z respectively, and D here as the constant terms. X is obtained by working on d sub x all over d. Y is dy over d. Z equals d sub z over d, where D and D sub X, D sub Y, and D are defined by these 3 by 3 matrices. So what we're going to do is basically work on the 3 by 3 matrix and calculate for its determinant. So let's work with the first example here. So first we need to work on D. And the elements for the 3 by 3 matrix in calculating for the D here are the coefficients of x, y, and z. So we have 1, 1, 2, and then 1, negative 1, 1, negative 3, 2, and negative 1. So here we need to select a row or a column. If, for example, we're going to consider the second column, so we will be working on each element of the second column and multiply each element by its minor. So we will be guided by the sign array, um, minus, plus, minus, since we are going to consider the second row. And this is equal to negative of the first element, 1, times its minor. So we will be removing this second column and this first row. So there remains 1, 2, 2, negative 1 here. And then plus the second element is negative. So this is plus minus. So this would be minus 1. And then we will eliminate the second row and the second column. So there remains 1, negative 3, 2, negative 1. And lastly, we'll have minus the third element, 1. So minus 1 times its minor. So we're going to remove the last row and the second column. So there remains 1, negative 3, 1, 2. And we'll simplify the right side of the equation. So we have negative 1 times the product of 1 and negative 1 minus the product of 2 and 2. And then minus 1, we have quantity, the product of 1 and negative 1, minus the product of negative 3 and 2. And lastly, minus 1, then product of 1 and 2, minus product of negative 3 and 1. And then let's simplify. So this is negative 1 minus 4. And this is negative 1 plus 6. And this is 2 plus 3. So we have 1 times negative 5 minus 1 times 5 minus 1 times 5. So so there must be negative here. So this is 5 minus 10. which is negative 5. So our D here, class, is negative 5. So let's work on D sub x this time here. So D sub x, we're going to consider the elements of the constant term. So we have negative 10, 3, and then 6. We have 1, negative 1, and 1 here. And then C, negative 3, 2, and negative 1. So among the rows and columns, we're going to consider the second column. Now, it's up to you as to which column or row you're going to consider to come up with, for example, D sub x. So, since we have made use of the second column, we will be still using this sign array, minus, plus, minus. So, we'll begin with the first element. So, this is minus 1. And then we'll consider we'll multiply this with its minor. So we will remove this column and this row where the first element 1 belongs. So there remains 3, 2, 6, negative 1. 3, 2, 6, negative 1. And then plus negative 1. So this will be minus again 1. And then times its minor. So we will eliminate the second row and the second column. There remains negative 10. And then this is negative 3. Okay, negative 10, negative 3. So by the way, we remove this and we come up with 3, 2, 6, negative 1. So this is correct. So here, negative 10, negative 3, 6, negative 1. And then minus the third element 1 times its minor. So this will be removed and this. So there remains 10, negative 3. I mean negative 10, negative 3, and then 3, 2. Okay? So this is now equal to negative 1 quantity, the product of 3 and negative 1 minus 2 times 6. Okay? And then negative 1 quantity, the product of negative 10 and negative 1 minus the product of negative 3 and 6 minus 1 quantity negative 10 times 2 minus the product of negative 3 and 3. So this must be negative 3 minus 12, right? So this is negative 3 minus 12. Oh, so this is negative, sorry. This is negative 6. So this must be negative 6. This is negative 6. This is negative 6. So this is negative 6 also. So if this is negative 6, this will be plus 6. And then this is 10, negative 10 plus, I mean positive 10. So it's positive 10. And then minus 18. Minus 18 here. And then this is negative 20 plus 9. So when simplified, this is equal to negative 1 times 9 minus 1 times negative 8. And this is negative 1 times negative 11. So our d sub x here is equal to, again, negative 1 times 9 minus 1 times negative 8 minus 1 times negative 11. So we have d sub x equals 10. Now, solving for x, so x class is d sub x over d. And we know that 10 or d sub x is 10 and d is negative 5. So x is negative 2. So we now have x equals negative 2. So solving for d sub y this time is working on these elements. So we have 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and then negative 10, 3, negative 6, and then we have negative 3 to negative 1. And then if we're going to consider the first column here, so we have the first element. So we're going to consider the sign plus, minus, plus. Okay? So this is 1 times. So we're going to eliminate the first row and the first column. So there remains 3, 2, negative 6, and negative 1. And then minus the second element 1. So this will be eliminated and this. So there remains negative 10, negative 3, and negative 6, negative 1. And then plus 2. So this will be eliminated and this. So there remains negative 10, negative 3, and 3, 2. Okay. So simplifying this expression, we get, okay, so we have, so let's place the answer here. So we have 1 quantity 3 times negative 1, and then minus 2 times negative 6. Okay. And then minus 1 quantity negative 10 times negative 1 minus negative 3 times negative 6. And then plus 2 times quantity negative 10 times 2 minus, let's place the continuation here, negative 3 times 3. Okay, simplifying this expression, we got, so this is negative 3, and then this is plus 12. This is 10 class minus 18, and this is negative 20 plus 9. So we have 1 times 9 minus 1 times negative 8, and then plus 2 times negative 11. So d sub y is equal to, so we have 1 times 9 and then minus 1 times negative 8 plus 2 times negative 11. So we have negative 5. So y equals dy over d. So we have negative 5 over negative 5. So y is 1. Okay, y equals 1 here. And then we'll have d sub z. So we'll consider these elements. Okay. So for d sub c, so so 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and then we have 1, -1, 1, and then we have the constant terms -10, 3, and then -6. So let's consider the second column here. So we have negative of 1 times its minor. So we will eliminate this and this. So there remains 1, 3, 2, -6. 1, 3, 2, -6. And then, so we have plus of -1. So this will remain -1. And then we'll have, so this will be eliminated and this. So there remains 1, -10, 2, and -6. And then lastly, plus, so we have rather minus, okay? So minus 1, and then this will be eliminated in this column. So there remains 1, -10, 1, 3, 1, -10, and then 1, 3. So this class is now equal to, wait, um, this is equal to -1 quantity 1 times -6 minus 3 times 2, okay, minus 1 quantity 1 times -6 minus -10 times 2, and then we have minus 1 times quantity 1 times 3 minus -10 times 1. So the first term is, so this is -6 minus 6. So this is -1 times -12. And then minus 1. So this is -6 plus 20. So this is 14. And then this is 3 plus 10. So this is -1 times 13. So d sub z is equal to -1 times -12 minus 1 times 14 and minus 1 times 13. So that equals -15. So z is equal to d sub z, which is -15 all over d -15. So rather -5. So this is 3. So our z is 3. Okay. So next, we'll have this one. So we will calculate for d this time. So d is equal to a, b, c. So we have 3, -2, and 1, 2, 2, 1, and -1, 1, 1. So if we're going to consider the third column, expanding by minors, the first element is, so this is plus, minus, plus, but this is negative. So this would be -1 times its minor. So we have to eliminate the first row and the last column. So we have negative 2, 2, and then 1, 1. And then minus 1 here. So we have this will be eliminated in this column. So there remains 3, 2, 1, 1. 3, 2, 1, 1 here. And then plus, so we have plus 1 here. Okay. 1 times, it's minor. So 3, 2, negative 2, 2. Okay. So let's simplify this. So this is now equal to negative 1 quantity, negative 2 times 1 minus, okay, the product of 2 and 1. And then minus 1 quantity, the product of 3 and 1 minus the product of 2 and 1. Okay, and then the third term plus 1 times, 3 times 2 minus the product of 2 and negative 2. Okay, so this is now equal to, so this is negative 2 minus 2. So this is negative 1 times negative 4. And then this is negative 1. So this is 3 minus 2. So this is times 1 plus 1 times, this is 3 times 2. So we have, this is 6 and this is plus 4. So this is 1 times 10. So D is equal to 13. Okay, so let's work on D sub x. So D sub x is equal to the constant term 6, 3, 4, and then 2 to 1 here, and then negative 1, 1, and 1. So this is equal to, if we're going to consider again the third column, so we're going to consider the sign plus, minus, plus. So this is positive of negative 1. So this will remain negative 1 multiplied by its minor. So we're going to eliminate the first row and the third column. So there remains 3, 2, 4, 1. And then minus 1. So we have to eliminate the second row and the last column. So we have 6, 2, 4, 1 here. And then plus 1 times its minor. So this will be eliminated and this column. So there remains 6, 2, 3, 2. So this is now equal to negative 1 quantity, the product of 3, 1 minus the product of 2, 4, 2 and 4. And then minus 1 quantity, 6 times 1 minus 2 times 4. And then plus 1 times quantity 6 times 2 minus the product of 2 and 3. So this is equal to negative 1, negative 1 times, so this is 3 times 1 minus 2 times 4. So this is 3 minus 8. And 3 minus 8 is negative 5. And then this is minus 1. 6 times 1. So this is 6 minus 8. So this is negative 2. And then we have plus 1 times. So this is 12 minus 6. So this is 6. So this is 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 6, 13. So our d sub x is 13. So therefore x is equal to d sub x, which is 13, divided by 13. So x equals 1. So here, x equals 1. Okay, let's work on d sub y. So for d sub y, so we're going to consider coefficients of x, 3, negative 2, 1, and then the constant term 6, 3, 4, and then the coefficients of z. So negative 1, 1, 1. So this is now equal to, so we will still consider this. So we're going to consider the sign array plus, minus, plus. So positive of negative would always remain as negative. So this is negative 1 times. So we'll eliminate the last column and the first row. There remains negative 2, 3, 1, 4. And then minus 1 times. So this second row will be eliminated and the last column. So there remains 3, 6, 1, 4. And lastly, plus the third element 1. And we will eliminate the third row and the last column. So we have 3, 6, negative 2, 3. Okay. So this is now equal to negative 1 quantity negative 2 times 4 minus 3 times 1. And then minus 1 quantity 3 times 4 minus the product of 6 and 1. And then minus plus 1 quantity 3 times 3 minus the product of 6 and negative 2. So we now have negative 1 times. So this is negative 8 and this is minus 3. So we have negative 11 here. And then minus 1 times. So this is 12. Well, this is 6. So 12 minus 6 is 6. And this time we have plus 1 times. So this is 9 plus 12. 9 plus 12 is 21. So this is 11 minus 6 is 5 plus 21 is 26. So d sub y is 26 and y equals d sub y over d. So D sub y is 26 divided by D 13. So y is equal to 2. So y equals 2. And then we'll work on D sub z. So we're going to consider the coefficients of x3, negative 2, 1. And then the coefficients of y. So we have 2, 2, 1. Coefficients, I mean the constant terms, 6, 3, 4. So this time, let's consider the second column. So we're going to consider the sign array negative, positive, negative. So let's begin with the first element 2. So this is negative of 2. We'll eliminate the first column and the first row and the second column. So we have negative 2, 3, and then 1, 4. And then plus the second element 2 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the second row and the second column. So we have 3, 6, 1, 4. And then minus 1 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the third row and the second column. We have 3, 6, negative 2, 3. So this is equal to negative 2 quantity, the product of negative 2 and 4 minus the product of 3 and 1. And then plus 2 quantity 3 times 4 minus the product of 6 and 1. Minus 1 quantity 3 times 3 minus the product of 6 and negative 2. So we now have negative 2 times. So this is negative 8 minus 3. So this is negative 2 times negative 11. And this is 12 minus 6. And 12 minus 6 is 6. So this is plus 2 times 6. And then we have minus 1 times, this is 9 plus 12. And 9 plus 12 is 21. So we have, this is 22 minus 21 is 1 plus 12. So this is 13. So our d sub z is 13. And we know that z is equal to d sub z over d. Since d sub z is 13 and d is 13 also, z is equal to 1. So z equals 1 plus. Okay? So lastly, we have, okay? So we'll work on d here. And d is equal to the coefficients of ABC. So this is 3, 4, 2, 4, negative 4, 4, or rather negative 4, negative 4, negative 4, and then 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. And this is equal to, we will choose 2, 3, 3. And we'll consider the sign array plus, minus, plus. So we'll consider the first element 2 times its minor. So the first row and the last column will be eliminated. So there remains 4, negative 4, 2, negative 4. And then minus the second element 3 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the second row and the third column. So this is 3, 4, 2, negative 4. And then plus the third element 3 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the last column and the last row. So there remains 3, 4, 4, negative 4. So this is now equal to 2 quantity, the product of 4 and negative 4 minus the product of negative 4 and 2. And then minus 3 quantity, the product of 3 and negative 4 minus the product of 4 and 2. And then plus 3 quantity, the product of 3 and 4 minus rather negative 4, the product of 4 and 4. So this is equal to, so this is negative 16 and this is plus 8. So this is 2 times negative 8. Then minus 3. So this is negative 12. This is negative 8. So times negative 20 plus 3 times. So this is negative 12 and this is negative 16. So we have negative 28. So our D class is equal to the product of 2 and negative 8 plus the product of negative 3 and negative 20 plus 3 times negative 28. And that equals negative 40. So this is our B. Okay? So how about D sub x? So for D sub x, we have the constant terms 9, 3, 1. And then the coefficients of y, 4, negative 4, negative 4. And the coefficients of z, 2, 3, 3. So this is equal to, so we're going to consider the last column. So the first term here will be element 2 times its minor. So we're going to consider again the sign array positive, negative, positive. So this is 2 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the first row and the last column. So we have 3, negative 4, 1, negative 4, and then minus 3 times 9, 4, 1, negative 4, 1, negative 4. And then plus 3. There remains 9, 4, 3, negative 4. So this is equal to 2 quantity, the product of 3 and negative 4, minus the product of negative 4 and 1, minus 3 quantity, the product of 9 and negative 4, minus the product of 4 and 1, plus 3 quantity, the product of 9 and negative 4, minus the product of 4 and 3. So this is negative 12, while this is positive 4. So we have 2 times negative 8 minus 3 times, this is negative 36 minus 4. So this is minus 40 plus 3 times, this is negative 36 minus 12. So we have negative 48. So our D sub x is equal to the product of 2 and negative 8 minus 3 times negative 40 plus 3 times negative 48. And this equals negative 40. So meaning x is equal to d sub x, which is negative 40, all over d, which is negative 40. So our x is equal to 1. So x equals 1, guys. Okay, so let's work on d sub y and then lastly d sub z. So for d sub y, we have the coefficients of x 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, and then the coefficients of, I mean the constant terms 9, 3, 1, and the coefficients of z. So 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. So let's consider again the third column. And we'll consider the sign plus minus plus again. So this is positive 2 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the first row and the last column. So there remains 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1 here. And then minus the third element, I mean the second element times its minor. So we'll eliminate the second row and the third column. There remains 3, 9, 2, 1. 3, 9, 2, 1. And lastly, plus the third element 3 times its minor. So the last column and the last row will be eliminated. There remains 3, 9, 4, 3. And then let's simplify. So this is equal to 2 times quantity 4 times 1 minus 3 times 2. And then minus 3 quantity, the product of 3 and 1 minus the product of 9 and 2 plus 3 quantity, the product of 3 and 3 minus 9 times 4. So this is equal to, so this is 4 minus 6. So we have negative 2. So this is 2 times negative 2 and then minus 3. So this is 3 minus 18. So this is negative 15. So negative 3 times negative 15 and then plus 3 times, this is 9 minus 36. So this is negative 27. So we have 2 times negative 2 minus 3 times negative 15 plus 3 times negative 27. We have negative 40. Since d sub y is negative 40, y is equal to negative 40 over negative 40. So y equals 1. Y equals 1. So let's work on d sub z. So this time we're going to consider for the first column the elements of x 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, the elements of y 4, negative 4, negative 4, and then the constant terms 9, 3, 1. So we'll consider the first column and we'll follow the sign array plus minus plus. Okay. So we have the first element 3 times its minor. So we'll eliminate the first row and the first column. So we have negative 4, 3 and negative 4, 1. And then minus 4 times its minor. So this will be eliminated as well as this column. So there remains 4, 9, negative 4, 1. Plus the last element 2 times its minor. So the last column and the first row, I mean the last row and the first column will be eliminated. So there remains 4, 9, negative 4, 3. So we have 3 quantity, the product of negative 4, 1, minus the product of 3 and negative 4, minus 4 quantity, the product of 4 and 1, minus the product of 9 and negative 4, plus 2 quantity, the product of 4 and 3, minus the product of 9 and negative 4. So we have, so this is negative 4 plus 12. So we have 3 times 8 minus 4. So this is 4 plus 36. So times 40. And then plus 2 times. So this is 12 plus 36. So this is 48. So what is 3 times 8 minus 4 times 40 plus 2 times 48? And this is equal to negative 40 again. So our d sub z is negative 40. Therefore, z is equal to negative 40 all over d, which is negative 40. So z again equals 1. So working on the solution for three equations in three variables using the Cramer's rule requires us to recall how to evaluate the determinant for a 3 by 3 matrix, because we will be dealing with the values or solving for the values of x, y, and z, which is equal to d sub x over d sub y over d, and d sub z over d respectively. So, which means that we will be dealing with determinant. So, next meeting, I'll be discussing system of linear inequalities. So, bye for now.